Yes, indeed. It's Wrestling Uncensored. Welcome to the show tonight. Who's buying the WWE? We just watched Smackdown. We'll talk about it. An AEW Rampage is going on. Darby Allin against the Juice. The Juice is loose. Juice Robinson and Darby Allin wrestling right now on AEW Rampage. Johnny North looking at me right now. How are you?
Yeah, I'm glad you said Juice Robinson, not Hoovy, which is I think a lot of people would think right away when you say the Juice.
I thought people would think OJ Simpson, the Juice.
Well, wrestling right away, I would think Hoovy, but I guess some people, would think OJ.
Hoovy
possibly.
Was Juice.
I feel like he said the line, the juice is loose. Like, he said that in a promo, I think, in ROH.
Maybe. I mean, I think if you call yourself the Juice, at some point you're going to say the juice is loose.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick C. Hamilton, for renewing your membership. Thank you to everybody who supports the Ringside Report Network through memberships and super chats and everything that you do. Shout out to all the members. Join.ringsidereport.net if you have not joined already. Support the channel, $5 a month. You can call in anytime. become one of our good friends. We give you shout-outs like Patrick C. Hamilton.
Thanks.
Like Jason Pete. Look at all these people renewing. See, once you're down with us, you stay with us forever because we're the best. And we love you. And I'll tell you how much we love you. I am not well. I've been sick all week. I've been as sick this week as I've been in maybe the past 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been this sick. It was real bad earlier this week. Started on Sunday. Thankfully, today I'm good enough to do the show. I had to cancel the show last night. I couldn't do one last night. I just didn't have it in me. It's been a rough few days. Yeah, you may still hear it in my voice. I don't know. But because I can't really hear because my brain is all clogged up. One of my ears is blocked. It's a whole thing. It's a whole mess of things going on with me right now. I think I'll be all right. I feel like I'm on the mend. But yeah, we're pushing through tonight because we just had to be here. We had to do the show for you. There's so much going on in the world of professional wrestling. A couple days ago, the WWE was being sold to Saudi Arabia, so we had to come on and talk to you, see what's going on with the WWE, who's getting sold. Lauren asking how my kids are good. Actually, my kids are fine. They didn't get sick. It's been really weird in my house. My kids and their mom, they've been sick, and I've managed to avoid being sick while they're sick. Many times
Right.
they get sick, and I somehow, I skate through and I survive and I take care of them and everything. This time around, I got real sick, real sick, the flu, legit flu. And nobody else got sick, thankfully. And if you're a dad, or a mom or whatever. Dad, mom, is that it? Is that the only parent? Do we have a third type of parent now? I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Well,
the genders,
guardian.
there's many
Fine.
genders now. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure I'm covering all my bases with the dad and mom. But I think they're still just dad and moms.
Well, that's what you identify as, right?
A dad?
Yeah.
Can you be a man and identify as a mom? I guess you can.
You
These
could,
days,
yeah. It's not
if
impossible,
you want to.
yeah.
Sure. We're not getting into a debate about that, though. It's not really important. My point was I would much rather be sick. I think most parents would much rather be sick themselves than have their kids sick because that's just horrible. So thankfully it was just me, but it's been a rough few days for me, really rough. So at a certain point I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this, Starting to wonder. I didn't eat for several days, so that was bad. Dehydrated and everything. It was bad. It was real bad. But I'm here. I'm back. I've survived. I'm very happy to have survived. I'm still not 100%, but I'm getting there. I was about 0% on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And Wednesday I got to about 30% operation. Thursday I was about at 50 to 60%. And now I feel about 75%, 80% there. But, still don't have all my strength. I'm getting there, John. It's a climb back. But we're here for you tonight to talk professional wrestling. Enough about me and my illness. Who cares about Dave, right? We want to hear what Dave thinks about wrestling. We don't care about personal Dave. Screw that guy. Hey. Why you gotta say that? John. Why you gotta say that mean stuff about me? You care about me. Stop playing.
Oh, I would never say that to your face. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you dick. You're such a jerk. My God. I don't know if I'm going to... I was going to drive through the snow tomorrow and bring you a Christmas present that I haven't got to you yet, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to dig my car out tomorrow morning for you now. You don't care about me.
It's all right, but to be honest though, I imagine AJ was devastated because I know he was very excited about doing the show last night. However, your health comes first, so he understands. But it was good to talk to AJ and Marco Muscles this week. That was nice.
You got to fill me in a little bit more. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, they just invited me to a hockey game right when the hockey game was about to start at the Bell Center, half an hour for the game puck drop, pretty much. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry guys, I'm a little busy right now, but I appreciate it. So don't worry. Like they didn't get to do ringside report, but AJ still enjoyed himself this week. I'm sure he enjoys the plug that he just gave him.
They invited you to a hockey game.
They did, yeah.
When? What night?
I want to say it was Tuesday night. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday night.
And you didn't go?
Well, because like it was half an hour before puck drop, you know, like
So?
it was like 6:30, I think.
So?
It's a little preoccupied.
What were you doing?
Like working, like
Oh,
shoot
okay,
work.
Okay, shoot work. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. No, I get it.
I mean, AJ suggested, "Oh, just drop everything you're doing, just leave." I'm like, "Yeah, it's not something I do. Sorry."
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me ahead of time, maybe I could,
Yeah.
but not right in the middle of it.
Cool. Aren't the
But
Canadians
I
awful this
appreciate
year too? Haven't they lost like every game? Aren't they losing on purpose? What's the deal? I don't follow
they're not
it
great.
at all.
I mean, they're not great, but and it sucks for AJ because they lost 4-0 the game he went to, but then they won 5-4 the next game. Like they just had a bad losing streak for a bit. I mean, they're not great. They probably won't be good at least till probably next year, but they're not the worst though. They're still much worse teams.
Okay. Are they going to make the playoffs? That's too far out to know, right?
Oh. Well, I think they better start winning a lot more games consistently. That's the problem. It's just consistency.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah. I don't know what's going on. I've heard that they're not doing good. All I've heard is that they're losing many games.
When you're below 500 in anything, you're not doing good.
Oh, they're below 500. No, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to be below 500. That's bad. That's bad. Here's the Acclaimed. Scissor me, John.
Edited.
Yeah, because they botched the promo at some point, right?
I didn't see it, but yeah, I heard it was botched or something. That was the only thing I heard about what happened on Rampage, because this is taped.
Darby beat the Juice, by the way, in the opener, as expected.
Well, of course, for his first title defense, like he's not going to lose right away. And who is Juice Robinson beating on AEW?
I don't know.
I don't believe anybody.
Does he wrestle for AEW now? Or is he just on loan from New Japan?
No, I think he's signed and all that. And I believe he's wrestling Dark, and I actually believe he's beaten people. But I mean, on Dynamite or Rampage, I don't believe, or even on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I don't believe he's won a match.
I'm surprised. I didn't realize he was signed to AEW, and he's really not being used at all. I mean, I guess he had a match with Darby tonight, but he's kind of like, he's not a legit wrestler in AEW, Like, he's not a made guy, Juice Robinson. They didn't do much to introduce him to the fans. I mean, I like to think I follow AEW pretty closely, John. I've seen every episode of Dynamite ever,
Right.
Pretty much every episode of Rampage, right? I didn't know they signed Juice. You know what I mean? Like, I follow this stuff pretty closely, but AEW, you got to follow, like, minute by minute, second by second, everything they do. Like, you got to be obsessed with AEW to really know what's going on. Like, obsessed.
And even then,
miss
stuff,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's weird that way. Like, they don't explain what's going on a lot. Like, some things are explained and clear, but there's a lot of things like signees and different people, and you're like, oh, that guy's there now? It's an odd way of going about things, AEW.
Well, this week on Raw, they actually did that one time as well. Like we saw with Bobby Lashley. He's like, oh, I came back from suspension. And I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't you say you got fired? Like, didn't Adam Pearce say you're fired?
Yeah.
And apparently...
Did he botch it?
No, they didn't botch it. Because, like, I had to look and search and find this out. That Adam Pearce said that, he changed his mind. And he's actually only going to suspend him instead. Apparently, there was a video that they released only online. I guess only on their YouTube channel. Which is weird because that's their storyline television. It's a firing angle. But now there's this YouTube video out there saying that, oh, no, I'm just going to suspend him. I'm taking it back.
Oh.
It's one of those rare times WWE actually does that, where they actually don't follow the story completely like that. They just kind of throw in a little loophole right there.
Yeah, I was confused too. Bobby's like, my suspension's over. I'm back. I'm like, didn't you get fired? I thought you were fired. You weren't suspended.
Oh, there's
I
a
thought
hidden
Bobby
video out
screwed
there.
up. You see, but that's bad from WWE because I don't know that, because I didn't see that little video where Adam Pearce is like, I changed my mind. He's actually suspended, not fired, right?
Right.
When I'm watching Raw, I'm like, Bobby screwed up. You know? I think the average viewer sees that and thinks, oh, Bobby, you were fired. You weren't suspended. Well, what are you talking about, man? Right?
Exactly.
So we think, oh, Bobby's just not good. Bobby's confused. But actually, we're just not paying close enough attention.
Yeah, apparently. What's going on here, by the way? Like, they just took
just
the pants off. Like...
the ass boys. The ass boys are in their underwears. They got their pants pulled down by the Acclaimed. There's some sort of weird promo. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I mean, you wrestle in your underwear anyways,
yeah.
Practically. I mean...
I don't know why they're so shocked. Like, they're, like, covering up, but you're right. They all wrestle in their
underwears. You're not, like, wearing
underwears.
a thong or anything. Like, come on.
Yeah. Man, that tattoo face guy is hideous. Why would you do that to your face, dude? Jesus. Crystal meth. Like, I get a face tattoo, you know? I don't have any tattoos, okay? I'm being... Oh, Ryan Katz actually saw the Adam Pearce video. Well, good for you, Ryan Katz. You're paying attention. You're paying closer attention than we are, buddy. Good God almighty. You got Swerve here, Swerve Strickland on the screen. He's got some rappers with him. I don't know who they are.
Apparently they're part of his group, I think he just said.
Okay. Swerve's got those two goons with him, right?
Yep.
And that tattoo face guy still doesn't have a name, right?
Yeah, just Tats, man, like I called him before.
He's so ugly, man. He's like no disrespect to the guy. He looks scary. I wouldn't want to mess with him, you know? If that guy walks into the jiu-jitsu gym, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not roll with you today, buddy. You seem scary, you know? But, God, he's ugly. Like, I mean, I don't know what he looked like without the tattoos on his face, but it makes him look horrible. And I guess in pro wrestling, you can get away with it, but, man, what happens when your wrestling career is done? You are going to be dealing crystal meth out of a van in Arkansas. You know what I mean? Like, you're a sex trafficker. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy can't live a normal life outside of pro wrestling. That's a criminal face. No disrespect, but he's got a criminal face.
Well, it's already his second career, right? He was not major league, but minor league player.
Minor league baseball player, right?
Right.
Without the tattoos on his face, from what I understand.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would have worked out too well.
Who do you play minor league baseball for?
Like
what franchise?
Was it
not
Texas?
The Yankees?
I'm not sure.
Not the Yankees,
No,
I'll tell you that
it wasn't
much.
the
They wouldn't
Yankees.
accept a man like that. Terrible. Yankees are a top-flight franchise. High level. God, I love the Yankees. I saw the other day, we are closer now to opening day than we are to the end of the baseball season. Right?
It's coming now.
We're closer now to opening day, but like just by a couple of days, than we are to the end of the season, which is really nice. That's a good feeling. Because you know the winter's halfway over when you're closer to opening day. When pitchers and catchers report to spring training, oh, baby, that's when springtime is coming. Blue Jays closer got himself an ugly nose ring? I didn't see that. Who's the Blue Jays closer? I pay no attention to any other team in baseball, unless I have to.
Well, I'm not a fan of the Blue Jays because they're partly the reason why the Expos don't exist anymore.
I see me rocking.
Nice.
That's not even on purpose. I'm just rocking my Expos coffee mug.
No, it wasn't even perfect.
No, I didn't even mean
Just
to.
the way
I was
it
like,
is.
oh, yeah, here. Expos. Always repping the Expos. Expos forever.
This is an important match because Punk actually like messaged about it, or there was like an Instagram story or something that Punk wrote, like Brody King, this is like his first match in a place where he used to work at the Kia Center, I guess, right? Or the Kia Forum. He used to be like the parking attendant.
Who?
Like Brody King. Like you didn't see like Punk. Like I think it was today or it was yesterday. He posted a photo with him and Brody King. They're having ice cream and saying that him and Brody, it's like his first match here where he worked, and that's pretty cool. You should check it out.
CM Punk put that out.
CM Punk. I'm surprised you haven't found the video. Found the photo.
No.
Photos out there, I'm sure.
Okay. So Punk is promoting AEW Rampage on his Instagram.
Well, more Brody King, but I guess sure. Yeah, if you think about it like that, fine.
Wow. Right? And didn't he take a
Imagine
shot
it
at the
happens in
ratings
AEW.
of AEW a couple days ago? What was that?
Because if you saw MJF,
Yes.
he had the thing where, because he won the PWI Feud of the Year
Yes.
with Punk, but he put tape on Punk's name.
And wrote MJF
Punk,
on top of it.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Punk responded back to that, like, which made sense. About putting tape, you should put tape on the ratings too, or something. I think said something along those
Put
lines.
tape over the ratings to hide those too.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting shot. But Punk seems to be a little bit more active on the Instagram scene when it comes to AEW, which I find interesting. Wonder how he's doing as far as his injury goes, how he's healing up. I really hope we see him back in AEW. I really do.
I think he also posted like a photo of himself at the gym. I don't know if this was a recent photo or not, but he did post a photo like that. So
Good.
maybe that's a sign that, it's a step in the right direction for him.
Mm-hmm.
Still think we're months away if he's going to come back, though.
Yeah. But I think it was Dax of FTR on his podcast who said, they owe it to the wrestling business to make it work. Punk, the Bucks, Kenny, everybody involved, they've both made tremendous lives for themselves because of pro wrestling. They've made tons of money, rich and famous and all that stuff, right? Great lives for their families and everything. It would be a good thing for them to do to keep making money and to keep the wrestling business strong by figuring out a way to work together and having that match. Be it Punk versus Kenny, or you imagine Punk and FTR against Kenny and the Bucks. That's a massive pay-per-view main event. Massive. And I would really, really like for them to put their personal differences aside and make it work for professional wrestling. CM Punk always likes to invoke Bret Hart. I mean, Bret Hart put his personal differences aside and worked time and time again with Shawn Michaels. I mean, couldn't always do business when it came to the finish, but, that was Shawn's fault. So
Took some of his hair.
Yeah, well. But they had a backstage fight and they wrestled a match afterwards, right? Couple of
matches, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, why not? I mean, still 97, Survivor Series. Bret was not going to do the job to Shawn, which is understandable. I understand Bret not wanting to job to Shawn. Not because it was in Canada. I think the Canada thing is, another thing, but it was just because of Shawn. Bret told Shawn, I am willing to put you over and do the job for you and lose to you. And Shawn said, I am not willing to do the same for you. And walked away. And Bret's like, well, what the fuck, man? I'm not going to do it for you now. You dick? What the hell? Right? God damn, Shawn Michaels was a dick back then. All right. It's not the point. We're not here to talk about old news like Bret and Shawn. But we could, for hours on end, talk about Bret and Shawn, right?
We could, but maybe talk about the new news, which is Dax revealed on his podcast.
What?
Did you not see that? Dax on his podcast? Like,
That's not what I'm trying to get. I was trying to get to the WWE sale in Saudi Arabia and Tony Khan and Disney and Comcast, and I was trying to get to the big story, John. You're trying to tell me something about Dax of FTR.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what you were saying about Punk and FTR. Like, if that match can happen, because he said the contracts for FTR are up in April.
Yes.
So maybe you won't get that match.
Do you think FTR is less likely to sign? Forget FTR. Anybody in pro wrestling. Say you work in AEW, right? And you were one of Triple H's guys, right?
Okay.
But now you're seeing the news that Vince is back. And he's looking to sell the company. And you know, like we know, when companies are about to be sold, sometimes they fire people to make it a more appetizing product. It's not losing that much. You know what I mean? You cut people to make it the business make more money and make it a more appetizing sale, make more money off the sale.
I've done it before.
Yep. So I think a couple weeks ago, a lot of people in pro wrestling, a lot of wrestlers were looking at the WWE as a new option with Triple H in charge as a solid move. Guys like Andrade, guys like Miro, guys like FTR, I think we're looking at the WWE and thinking maybe it wouldn't be so bad to go back now. But at this point in time, with Vince back on top, with Vince back in that executive chairman spot, and possible firings coming up, I think a lot of pro wrestlers will be less likely to go back to the WWE at this juncture. Just because of the Vince factor. And because he's just so unpredictable. We've seen Triple H and how he's managed talent. He's hired a bunch of them back. And you saw what Vince did. I mean, he just fired people left, right, and center. So I wonder what the temperature is right now in the wrestling business as far as wanting to go to the WWE, wanting to sign with the WWE, as opposed to an AEW or anywhere else, really.
Well, taking the best offer, that's the whole thing right now. That was FTR's big thing, is that they're going to have to weigh their options. Like, what's the best thing come April?
But the best offer is what? The best offer financially on the table, or the best offer that you believe is actually going to come through? Because the WWE can offer you a 10-year contract at $100 million, and you could be like, wow, that's great. I'll sign that. And then 3 weeks into your contract, they're like, actually, pal, you're fired. Right?
It works like that, yeah.
Like, Gallows and Anderson are as good as gone at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got that big contract, right? Set for life, as they said. Then they got fired. Vince goes, Triple H comes back, rehires Gallows and Anderson. But now they got to be thinking, you know, are we on the chopping block again here? And they could be. And Ryan Katz is saying as long as Vince isn't in charge of creative. But it's not. Creative and talent relations are two different things. Right? And Vince isn't in charge of creative, technically.
For now.
For now. But the uncertainty is there. Because this company could be sold tomorrow to anybody. And then you have a new boss that is completely unpredictable. You don't know how they're going to act. You don't know how they're going to treat professional wrestling or professional wrestlers. The WWE before all this Vince coming back stuff, looked like a really good option for pro wrestlers who, WWE's always been a great option for pro wrestlers, obviously. It's the pinnacle of the business. But I think a lot of wrestlers were looking at AEW as like a nice alternative. But then when Triple H came back in charge of WWE, it's like, oh, well, maybe working for Triple H would be pretty cool. And I think a lot of people like that idea. As opposed to working for Vince, who's been, a little volatile. But now that Vince is back, yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be tougher to attract talent, especially not knowing what the company's going to be in a week or two.
Well, I think what really kind of throws it off is the fact that they had a meeting, right, like a week ago, where they had Vince. They said Vince is coming back, but nothing's going to change in terms of management. And then like a day or two later, Stephanie pretty much quits WWE. So that's where, seeds of doubt can come into people's minds, where it's like they're saying one thing and then another thing happens. So I can understand how that kind of thinking could be like, well, things are good for now, but are they going to change? Like Triple H is in charge now. He says this, nothing will change, but then tomorrow's another day. So you never know.
Fightful reporting that they held a talent meeting ahead of Smackdown tonight, and Triple H told people that Vince is back in the business sense, but not in charge of creative. He is retaining, Triple H says he has retained control of that creative process for now. His wife just quit WWE. Vince comes back, and we know now that like the board of directors didn't want Vince to come back. I've read the letters, right? Have you read the letters back and forth?
I didn't read it, but like, how did the whole board vote him back in, though, if they didn't want him back? I don't understand that part.
He's a majority shareholder. He can do what he wants. He owns the company. Like, he owns more of the company than anybody else, so he can basically push his way around. When you own the majority of the company, the board can tell you whatever, but apparently it doesn't matter. I'm no business genius here, but it seems to me like if you own all the thing, you can do whatever you want. And that's what Vince is doing, whatever he wants. So he comes back, his daughter quits. His daughter's like, I'm out. I don't want any part of this. With your paying off people that you've violated sexually. Dad. Paying off women, and possibly men, because of inappropriate sexual behavior, using company money to do it. The investigation is over, so Vince decides, oh, it's safe to come back now, pal. And his daughter's like, yeah, I'm out permanently. I love the WWE, but fuck off. I'm out of here.
The funny part, though,
we love you, Stephanie, really. By the way. We love you, Stephanie. She's a big viewer of our show, big supporter of our show, and we always support Stephanie. We love you, Stephanie McMahon. She's our favorite McMahon. By far.
Well, I actually like Shane more, but that's fine. Nick.
Shane doesn't watch our show, John.
But I just like Shane better as an entertainer, as a wrestler. Seems like a nice guy, too.
No, incorrect. Stephanie, you're much cooler than Shane. You're a much better promo than Shane. Don't listen to John. You're our favorite McMahon. We love you, Stephanie. Stay strong.
But interesting, though, how like when Vince retired, Stephanie came out, had this big promo saying thank you, Vince, right? Didn't see any thank you, Stephanie promo tonight. No acknowledgement of Stephanie, stepping down whatsoever tonight. So it's kind of interesting, after all her years of service, pretty much nothing. So I don't know, you could say that people like her and respect her and all that. And I'm sure some people do and all that, but I wonder if the company overall. I don't know. Like, they clearly don't love her as much as they love Vince.
Well, she's not the founder of the company, right? I mean,
right, but she did a lot for the company, though.
Of course, and yeah, it was odd that there was no mention of her, but I think that's just the way they decided to play it.
Well,
I don't know.
To me,
I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what's happening with the WWE and the inner workings, and a lot of people are out there pretending to know. I mean, people are legitimately reporting that the WWE was bought by the Saudi Arabian kingdom, right?
I think it was like an investment firm or something. Not the actual government, though.
Well, whatever. It's the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's their. Come on. It's the Saudis. It's the same people that buy the shows from the WWE. They're going to buy the WWE. It's the Saudis. What are you talking about? Investment firm. You know what it is. It's oil money. It's Saudi oil money. It's the Saudi kingdom. It's the prince of whatever his name is there. MBS, the guy who killed Khashoggi, right? The bad guy.
I don't know if it's...
They're bad guys.
I don't know if it's him running that exact investment firm, but I'm sure he has a hand in something possibly.
It's sport washing. It's bad. It's bad. They're trying to clean up their image with sport, and that is not who I want owning my WWE. Right? But people were legit reporting that WWE has been bought by Saudi Arabia. This was a couple nights ago.
Was it Tuesday as well?
Was it Tuesday? Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. And
what a Tuesday.
And people were reporting this, and I was seeing it all over Twitter, and I was like, man, why are people reporting this? Is this real? I mean, when people start saying this is happening, and it wasn't just one guy, it was a couple different guys, right?
It was a lot, yeah. It was strong too.
Yeah. It was so strong that I was like, damn, this seems real. And if it's real, holy shit. But then it turned out to not be real, right? Or I don't know what that was, because, I was sick as a dog Tuesday night. And I was seeing these reports, and I was like, what the fuck? Am I, dreaming? I had a fever. I was like, am I hallucinating here? Saudi Arabia bought WWE? That can't be real. And I'm trying to read Twitter and update and see what the hell's going on, and it was confusing. It was like, what? What? It was confusing and upsetting. Because, again, these are not the people I want owning the WWE. But you're going to hear that a lot here tonight on the show, because every contender is bad. None of the people that could own the WWE are the people that I want to own the WWE, if you understand. Disney?
You have to explain that, though.
No. Comcast? No. Tony Khan and his daddy? No. Saudi Arabia? Hell no. None of these people should own the WWE. Because I don't think any of them will run it correctly. But I do think of all the names thrown out this week, Tony Khan and his daddy might be the best option for wrestling fans. As much as wrestling fans might not like it, or some WWE hardcores who hate AEW might not like it, at least Tony Khan is a guy who loves professional wrestling and has some experience booking it. Does the head of Comcast or Disney know anything about pro wrestling? And because they don't, when they sell the company to one of these giant corporate conglomerations, who do you think they're going to leave in charge? Vince! 80-year-old Vince! And I don't think that's going to be good for anybody. And then who knows how long that lasts, right? But it does seem like with the sale, Vince may wind up in charge of everything again. With an added, few $1 billion in his bank account. He's going to cash in, land himself some sort of job as like president of WWE, still get paid, and still run the show. That's what it seems like to me.
I think it's tough to say at this point what's really going to happen here because they're really just checking all their options right now. Like you probably saw the reports about how they're talking to ESPN, Disney, Fox. There's a lot of options. I mean, to me, NBC makes the most sense. They've had such a long history with WWE.
Comcast.
And, tie in with Comcast. With Peacock, it just makes so much sense.
Yep.
I don't think, if you think about change, I don't think all that changes that much. It's just it won't be Vince as the owner anymore. I don't think they change too much in terms of the personnel because I think they probably already know a lot of the personnel and I think they're pretty much happy with it. So maybe Fox might lose the deal, but I think that would actually be good for WWE. And I don't think having Tony Khan own WWE is actually good for wrestling. It's good that we actually have a separate company and not just one giant company owning everything. I think it's actually better for wrestling that there's actual competition.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be better if on Rampage it was tonight it's the WWE Intercontinental title being defended and not like the Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling Man Championship, I just don't want to see Ring of Honor belts. I'd rather see WWE belts defended in AEW, but let me ask you this. Kushida. Darby Allin's going to wrestle Kushida? Has the WWE crossover started already? No, he went back to Japan, right?
He went to Impact.
He did?
He did.
Oh. Impact's got a show tonight,
Ruby's
right?
busted open pretty quick.
Holy shit, Ruby is bleeding like crazy. We're watching a match right now. Is this the main event? Must be, right? It's Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale against Anna Jay and Tay Conti in a street fight.
I think Ty and Anna have been in a street fight before, weren't they? I think
so.
I think it was on Rampage as well.
Yeah. Wow.
So they're kind of used to this, and I think that match got them over quite well. So this is again a match that's going to help them a lot. I feel they're not going to win this match because they won the last match, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going back and forth with this feud.
I don't know.
I mean, I have no problem with them winning. I prefer they'd win, but they seem to be going back and forth with this. Ruby won her first match back, then they lost, and then she lost the tag match. So I think she's going to win this match. But wait and see. I don't know. It looks like this is going to be very violent, whatever they have planned here.
Mm.
One of the few times I actually watched the picture-in-picture here.
Nah, I'm not. It's not that great. I want to stick to the task at hand, though. The different options for the WWE sale, right? I think Saudi Arabia is a terrible option for many different reasons.
But they have the money. That's the thing.
Yeah, well,
they
so
can
what?
give Vince a lot of money.
They could give Vince a lot of money, but, I mean, I think they'd run the company into the ground. I don't think that wrestling fans would support a company run by Saudi Arabia. I think it would turn a lot of wrestling fans off completely. Don't forget, this is a country that didn't allow Sami Zayn to perform. Sami Zayn, one of the hottest acts in the WWE, is banned from Saudi Arabia because he has Syrian heritage. He's born in Canada. Sammy is Canadian. But because I think his parents are Syrian or one of his, I don't even know. But he's got like Syrian, heritage. He's got some Syrian family. And for some reason, I don't know the history, Saudi Arabia doesn't like Syria for some reason. And, they didn't allow Sammy to wrestle in their country. How would that work if they own the company? What would women's wrestling look like if Saudi Arabia owned the company?
Well, we're seeing women wrestle in Saudi Arabia. That's happening more now.
In full body suits where you can only see their hands. You can't see their arms. They got to cover up everything, head to toe. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's going to continue, though. I mean, we're still getting those shows, though. That's still going to happen. Even if they don't buy the company, we're still getting those big events.
Not if Disney owns the company. If Disney buys WWE, forget about going to Saudi Arabia. They're never going back. Disney...
Well, they signed, a 10-year deal, though.
They signed a 10-year deal with Vince. It means nothing. It means nothing. If the company gets sold, man, anything, anything goes. But I really have no idea who they're going to sell to. I think Disney is an interesting option because it's Disney. They own everything. They're massive. They could do theme parks. They could do all sorts of stuff with WWE. But I don't know if they would be able to figure out the nuts and bolts of pro wrestling. And I think that a huge corporation like Disney or Comcast or whoever winds up buying the WWE will not understand how to do pro wrestling correctly. There is a carny element to pro wrestling. There is a history to pro wrestling. There is a brother element of pro wrestling that these people cannot understand. Entertainment people don't get pro wrestling. We all know this as pro wrestling people. The regular world, the entertainment world, the mainstream world, the Disneys, the Comcast, those people, they don't get pro wrestling. How did AOL Time Warner do with WCW? As soon as Ted Turner, the guy who kind of kept everything under control and cared about wrestling and liked wrestling, as soon as he stepped out of the picture, it all went to shit. Why? Because you had a bunch of corporate people, number crunchers, people that didn't know anything about professional wrestling, didn't understand the history, didn't understand the business, didn't understand the culture. They couldn't manage it because they didn't understand it. And even when you understand it, it's hard to manage because there's personalities and there are things that happen and there are ways of doing things and there are ways you don't do things. Do you think Disney, owning a pro wrestling company, would ever allow Cody Rhodes to perform with his busted up chest? I don't think they would.
Well, the thing is, I think Disney would put someone in charge that knew what they were doing. And,
why would you have that faith? Why would you think that? Who? You know who they think knows what they're doing? You know who that guy that they would put in charge? It's fucking Vince, man.
It probably would be Vince.
Of course it'd be Vince. When Endeavor bought the UFC from the Fertittas, they put Dana White there because they knew they kept Dana. They gave him Dana owned a piece of the UFC. The UFC sold for $4 billion, whatever. Dana cashed in, made his money, and got kept on as the president of the UFC to keep the business running. Because they needed the figurehead in charge, because they didn't understand the culture, the history, how MMA actually works. They got the business, they got the marketing, they got the promotion, they get that. They get the fancy graphics, but they don't know how fighting actually works. They don't know how fighters actually think and operate. So they needed a guy like Dana White who's been in the business, who understands the business. And even Dana White, I mean, goddamn. I mean, if you ask Dana White, the UFC needs him. He could step away from the UFC and be fired, and be punished for slapping his wife, but it would be damaging the UFC more than anything. The ego on the man is unbelievable, but that's another story. Too bad I didn't do a show last night. I have a lot to say about Dana, but I just couldn't do it. Next week.
There'll be another show.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I got a lot to say about Dana. But these people, these corporate people, the Comcast or the Disneys or whoever, Endeavor, like the Endeavor group, possibly, they're in the mix too. Those people don't get pro wrestling. Oh, Jesus.
Did you see that?
Anna Jay just got powerbombed off the stage, and Willow Nightingale put herself through a table, but just put Anna, on the floor. Is Anna Jay okay?
I imagine it was a padded floor. Like, there was at least a pad there, I would think. Because, nice pile driver there.
Pile driver off the apron through a table from Conti down on Ruby. Ruby is bleeding like crazy. This match is ugly.
Pile driver too.
It's violent. Scary violent.
Is that the finish?
Ty Conti's whole ass is out of those shorts too, by the way. It's a strange mix of ass and blood. Man, that powerbomb was nasty. God damn.
Well, I think Ruby and Willow are dressed up like the Dudleys.
Yeah.
And Ty and Anna are dressed up as cheerleaders, I guess.
I don't know what their gimmick is. But Ty's shorts are riding up, are way more wedgied up in her butt than Anna's. Because Ty's whole ass is out. And here comes the thumbtacks. What the fuck? What kind of match is this?
It was a street fight.
This is crazy. Ruby Soho is taking everything here.
Yeah, she's not taking this because she's taking everything. So
she can't take the tacks too. Is Ty going to take the tacks? You got to put the tacks all in her butt. That'd be a good visual.
It's probably pretty much going to happen, it looks like.
I hope so.
Now Ruby's trying to stop the tacks going to her face. She put her hand into it.
Could you imagine a company like Comcast sanctioning this type of match? I mean, you couldn't imagine WWE currently sanctioning this type of match either. So
exactly, yeah.
Right?
Well, think about it.
Conti gets the tax. Is that the finish? 1, 2, 3. Yep. Man, Ruby Soho looks like she's been through the ringer. That is a lot of blood. Wow.
She doesn't even look the same anymore.
No. Yeah, she looks like a different person. Looks like a zombie. Good God almighty.
That's a t-shirt right there.
Yeah.
I think she just kissed her.
It looked like she did. She said something to her. I don't know if she kissed her or she just... I think she kissed her on the forehead. Because Ty's got blood in her forehead now. Wow.
She's got blood on her forehead, yeah.
Good God almighty. Well, that was something. That was quite a main event to Rampage. Willow and Ruby get the win over Ty and Anna Jay. That was something.
Yep.
I like that.
Definitely was something. Yeah, well, it's something to watch. I mean, maybe that's the trick for Rampage. Just have crazy extreme matches for your main event. That'll get people excited, that's for sure.
With people that you don't expect it from,
Well, I mean, Anna and Ty had this kind of match before, but I didn't expect it to get that violent. That was a nice surprise.
Yeah. Good for them. When you don't expect it out of them, Who would have thought Ty Conti and Anna Jay would become queens of the death match? Only in AEW.
Well, I don't think this is going to be a regular occurrence for them, but I
They've
think
done
a once
a couple,
in a while
right?
kind of thing. They've done 2, I think now. It's their second, so it's a once in a while kind of thing.
They're good at
So
it.
they're not like Liv Morgan, who's apparently the queen of extreme, just goes crazy all the time, as you saw tonight.
Liv Morgan. Yeah.
That was weird in so many ways. I can't explain the thought process, what they were trying to do there.
I want to
they had
talk
the
about that.
promo.
I want to talk about that, but
Okay.
hang with me for a second here.
Okay.
Do you disagree? Like Ryan Katz says, WCW, the company that hired a Pizza Hut employee as their boss. And that's really what happened, right? Jim Herd?
Jim Herd, yeah.
I mean, these are the types of people that these corporations put in charge of pro wrestling. Well, you made this business work, so you can make this wrestling business work too, right? Like, these corporations, these entertainment people, they don't get wrestling. There's a culture and a history that you cannot understand unless you're in it, unless you're entrenched in it, unless you live it and you breathe it. And I think the WWE is going to be hurt tremendously no matter who buys it. No matter who buys the WWE, and I'm at a point now where I believe the WWE will be bought. It will not be controlled by the McMahons, and it will be the death of the WWE. When the WWE is no longer controlled by the McMahons, the McMahon family, including Triple H, I think it's over. I think it's over for them. And it's not going to be a quick death, but it will die. And they will have their intellectual property and all that stuff, Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart and Undertaker, and they could make T-shirts and cartoons or whatever the hell they want to do. But the actual wrestling product, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, it's not going to work. It's not going to fly because those people don't get it. They do not get it. The best people for professional wrestling are pro wrestling people. Always has been, always will be. And if you don't get that, I really don't know what else to tell you. Because to me, the only people that should be running wrestling companies are wrestling people.
I get you. However, your good buddy Stephanie McMahon, when she was head of creative, she decided to only get TV writers, people that had no knowledge of wrestling, to write wrestling. So WWE already changed the way wrestling is, in a sense, where they just made it basically about the entertainment, and the wrestling was kind of the last thing.
And how's that gone for them?
I mean, I prefer it the way it used to be, I agree, but they still succeed. They had the most successful year last year.
They succeed because they still have some of those key wrestling people in charge of things, There may be some Hollywood writers, but at the end of the day, those little soap opera writers or reality TV show writers, they have to go report to Freebird Michael Hayes. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay, yeah.
The buck stops with a wrestling person. And if the buck doesn't stop with a wrestling person, forget it. Forget it. Wrestling people do pro wrestling. Hollywood people need to stick to Hollywood. It's two different things. And I've been around pro wrestling way too long to not know that. So I fear for the WWE's future. Vince will cash in. They'll all cash in. They'll make money. Whatever. But the WWE after the sale, I don't know. I hope they don't sell to Saudi Arabia because I think they're evil.
I mean, all corporations are evil when you think about it.
Some are more evil than others, John. I don't know. Does Disney do beheadings?
Not that we know of.
Mm-hmm. Do they jail homosexuals? Possibly kill them? I don't think so. But that does seem to be the policy in Saudi Arabia. So, fuck them, basically. Fuck the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I mean, not the people that live there, but, the people in charge of Saudi Arabia. They can all suck it.
Yeah, I think that's important when you say the government, not like everybody.
Yeah. No, of course
when you
not.
say the Saudis, like, doesn't sound good sometimes.
The Saudi royal family. Fuck them, specifically. The people of Saudi Arabia are all fine, But yeah, the people that run Saudi Arabia, the people that own that live golf tournament, they shouldn't own the WWE. But I don't think Disney should either. I don't think anybody should. But somebody's going to wind up doing it. And I think it's going to help AEW. How about that? No matter who buys WWE, it'll make WWE a weaker product, and by default, AEW stronger. So that's my feeling on that.
It's a bold prediction.
Yeah, but John, I have a track record.
You do.
I'm right.
But
I make bold predictions, and years later, they come true. I'm correct. I'm always proven right in the end. Because I know pro wrestling. You know why? Because I'm a pro wrestling person. Right? I've never had a match. I've never had a match. I'm not a wrestler, but I'm a pro wrestling guy, right? You know me.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I know wrestling. I know how it works. And I know how it won't work. So, I can make bold predictions all day because I'm correct. Because I got a track record going on, what are we? Almost 20 years now of this show. I've been talking about pro wrestling on a weekly basis for nearly 20 years. I've been watching pro wrestling for 35 years now, right? Started watching pro wrestling when I was about 3-4 years old. And I'm about 37 now. I forget how old I am. I'm at that point. But, yeah, it's been like 35 years of pro wrestling. Over 30 years, let's just say that. Over 30 years of watching pro wrestling and studying pro wrestling and reading about pro wrestling and, 30 years of my whole life being revolved around professional wrestling, and the past 20 talking about it on a weekly basis, more than once a week, and, just in public. I mean, we talk about it constantly. So I'm a pro wrestling person. You're a pro wrestling person. We know how these things work. And some people,
I would wait.
I swear to God, some people that comment on pro wrestling, I'm seeing some people on Twitter who seem to know, like, I swear to God, it's like I'm old now, and there's like younger people, people in their 20s, and they have these big opinions on wrestling, and I'm like, you guys are clueless. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. I saw some shit tonight, and I was like, excuse me, but maybe wait before you formulate an opinion. I don't know. Some people are out to lunch.
Wrestling gets people very excited sometimes, and
Yeah.
they get wild with their thoughts.
Yeah. It's just a lack of knowledge of the history and how things worked, People have only known, like, if you're 22 years old or whatever, you don't know shit about WCW. You don't know how all that went down. You have no concept. You have no concept of any real competition to the WWE. Right? Like, if you're in your 20s, you don't know. You don't know most of the important players in the history of wrestling. Because really, John, what's happened in the past 20 years in pro wrestling? Jack shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as, like, major players and, like, important people, it's 2023. From 2003 to 2023, not much has happened. Like, Austin, Rock, Shawn, Brett, Taker, all that shit was in the 90s. That was important. The 80s and the 90s, those were important decades. Like, if you go from 1980 to the year 2000, and then you compare 2000 to 2020, what was a more important 20 years in pro wrestling? You know what I mean?
Of course, but like I feel like a lot of people would say the same thing going from the 60s and 80s to now. Like, I'm sure a lot of people back then who watched wrestling would say, like, oh, it was just as good, even maybe even better, because that paved the way for everything else to follow. So it's different for different time periods.
I think a lot of people that watched wrestling in the 60s and the 70s and loved it also loved it in the 80s. Maybe fell out of love in the 90s, but I think the 80s were still great.
Yeah.
You know?
But there is that, like, where people lose it a little bit there. And I think that we're kind of falling into that a bit too, where it's like it doesn't feel as good as it used to be, like it was in the 90s or even the early 2000s. And now it's starting to dip a bit. We're kind of in that boat too, that people who felt the 70s were good and the 90s were a bit of a drop. So you're seeing that generational gap now.
Yeah, but we saw real draws. You know what I mean? We saw guys that put asses in seats. The only draw that these kids have seen is fucking John Cena.
But that's their, that's their Mount Rushmore in a sense.
That's their Hogan.
Yeah, exactly.
Hogan is Hogan.
I mean, you're wearing the shirt, yeah.
Damn right.
You remember that, and some people remember that. I mean, thankfully we have something like the WWE Network, Peacock. I mean, you can still be a wrestling fan of, like, the 90s and, like, the 80s because of that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have to really work hard at it, and you could tell some people probably don't.
Yeah. And it's harder if you didn't live through it. It's just harder, Like, I could watch as much as I want from shit that that I didn't see until, you know what I mean? Like, I can watch 1982 wrestling all day, but I don't really get the feel of it unless I live through it. No, you could watch Stone Cold videos all day. You could watch his highlights. You could see the shit on TV, but you don't really get how big it was unless you live through it. It's a real draw. It's a real moneymaker.
Well, it's a huge problem in wrestling nowadays, but I mean, that's across the board, though. That's not just WWE. That's throughout.
Is Roman Reigns the biggest draw in WWE?
Yes.
Or is it the WWE itself?
I mean, if you don't count the WWE, I mean, just what one individual.
Yeah, I guess he'd have to be the top draw, but, like the Elimination Chamber here coming up next month in Montreal, right? Basically a sellout. Away. Right?
Is it not a sellout at this point?
I think it is. Was. Pretty much sold out, yeah.
Both nights.
But we don't know if Roman's booked on that show. My point is Roman Reigns isn't the draw. No one is buying a ticket because they know Roman Reigns is going to be there, because we don't know if Roman Reigns is going to be there. We don't know a single person that's going to be there. We assume Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be there in some capacity because it's in Montreal. But, other than that, no one really knows what the Elimination Chamber is going to be. The draw is the cage. The big cage. Right?
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that there's a certain guy. Like, back in the day, if you're buying a ticket for a wrestling show, you're buying a ticket because, Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to be on that show. The Rock's going to be on that show. I got to see those guys. But now it's like, I want to see the cage. I want to see the show of the WWE, the spectacle.
Well, it's also because there hasn't been like a premium live event in Montreal since 2010, 2009?
Yeah, something like that.
Like, it's been a long time. So I think that's a huge thing as well, where it's like, we haven't gotten this in like well over 10 years. So we better jump on this now because this might not come back for another 10 possibly.
Yeah. I'm lucky enough to have been to all of them.
It's pretty good.
All the pay-per-views here, I've been to all of them, all 3. This will be the 4th one here in Montreal, right? Survivor Series 97, No Way Out 2003?
Or
2?
Yeah, 3. I think it was 3 or 2. I want to say 3. I think it was 3.
You remember what the draw was at, right? The draw for that? Stone Cold versus Eric Bischoff.
Rock and Hogan.
Huh?
Well, I honestly thought the Rock and Hogan was the draw, but okay. It was
Stone Cold's comeback match, though.
I mean, that too. But that wasn't the main event. The Rock and Hogan was the main event.
Yeah. Wasn't Steiner and Triple H the main event?
No, that was like Austin was on after that.
Oh, okay. It was a long time ago, John. It's 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah. It was Survivor Series 97, No Way Out 2003, Breaking Point 2010, and now coming up, Elimination Chamber 2023. Should be good. Okay, you want to talk about Liv Morgan? Liv Morgan wrestled Raquel Rodriguez tonight. She lost after getting powerbombed. Liv slapped Raquel Rodriguez because Emma, Liv Morgan, and I think she's the Maxine model lady, right?
Maxine, that's pretty much her. Maxine Dupree, I think.
Okay. They're talking about the Royal Rumble because Liv Morgan's like, I'm going to be number 1 in the Rumble and I'm going to win it. And then they're all like, yeah, I don't know, Liv. And Raquel's like, you're kind of small. Maybe you shouldn't be number 1 in the Rumble. I don't think you could win it. And then Liv's like, slap. What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Right? And then they had a match and Raquel won. I don't understand. Like, Liv's, you could declare for the Royal Rumble. You could, which is not always the case, right? Sometimes you have to win a qualifying match to get in the Rumble, but sometimes you could just be like, I'm in the Rumble. And then you're in the Rumble.
Ricochet had to win a match.
Right.
Yeah.
Ricochet had to win. He's the only guy that had to win a match for the Rumble, right? Did anybody else have to qualify?
No, They just say they're in it. That's it.
Yep. A bunch of people said they were in it. Gunther said he was in it tonight, right? But Liv Morgan is taking it a step further. She's not just saying she's in it. She's also saying she's going to be number 1. And, like, that never seemed to be you can't pick your spot in a Rumble. Because if you could, wouldn't you just pick number 30? Wouldn't everybody be like, I'll take 30, please? I'll be the last one in. Or 27, isn't that the lucky number? That's how most people win, from 27. Used to be the deal.
It used to be.
Yeah.
Used to be. I don't know if it is anymore. But they used to also have a match to see who would be number 30. That would be a thing as well.
Yes, sometimes. Not always.
Yeah.
I miss the little balls. Remember the little balls? They had like a bunch of balls with numbers on them, and they'd spin a thing, and then throughout like the Raw before the Rumble, guys would come in and they would pick a ball out of the thing, and they'd be like, they'd have a number, you know? That was always good. I like that. That's the way they should do it. Because that makes sense. It's a battle royal. It's a Royal Rumble, right? Your entry number determines your odds of winning. It should be random, and there should be some sort of lottery. That always made sense to me. I don't know why they've ever deviated from that. I really hope we see the balls with the numbers. Dave wants to see balls. That's the highlight of the show. Dave wants balls.
Well, I think you saw too many balls over the years, so they decided less balls, and it's just like, well, there's just announcements from now on. That's it.
seen too many balls over the years. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Or they could just leave it as a surprise, but just Liv Morgan being like, I want to be number one, and da-da-da. It's like, all right. Good luck to you.
Well, it's to give her something, right? Because she's not going to win the Rumble, but to let her be number one and have a good showing, that's her thing.
She was a champion at some point, right? She had a big feud with Ronda Rousey, and now she's just kind of there.
I mean, she's not exactly like a complete underdog. I mean, in terms of like favorites, she's probably top 5, but she's not, at the top of that 5. So she's not going to win it, I don't think.
Where's Ronda?
It's a good question. Apparently, Ronda is just like taking time off or whatever. I don't know. Like, she's not even going to be at the Raw 30th anniversary show anymore. Apparently, she's been off that now. So I don't know. Just disappeared.
Because the way she lost the belt to Charlotte, like she had a match, she won it. Then Charlotte comes out and is like, match. And Ronda's like, okay. And then Ronda lost. You would think rematch. But
you would think
they haven't gone there. Charlotte and Sonya Deville brawled backstage tonight. I guess they're setting up another match between Charlotte and Sonya for some reason. Not at the Rumble.
If you think about it,
please.
Well, maybe just for a SmackDown, but I mean, if they hold off Ronda and Charlotte the rematch until Montreal, it's not a bad thing.
That'd be good. I could see that. Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn tonight in the main event by disqualification when the Usos and Solo Sikoa attacked him. Solo hit a splash on Kevin Owens through the announce table. There are number one contenders for the Raw tag team titles, and they're doing a tournament to determine number one contenders for the SmackDown tag team titles. Of course, both tag team titles held by the Usos, which is leading a lot of people to believe that the tag team titles will be split at some point.
Hopefully this is them just teasing the idea, but it doesn't actually happen. At least not now. Like, at least let them actually lose the undisputed championships, at some point. Not just, they lose one and then they'll lose another one at some point. That's kind of a cheap way of beating the champions, especially with Roman. Like, I think if you beat Roman, you should win all the championships. Maybe later on then, because it's not a big deal, but you've built up the Usos and Roman as these unbeatable champions. For them just to lose one championship, it'll make the second loss not mean as much.
I saw a rumor that said possibly because the Usos keep interfering and attacking people on Raw and SmackDown and, causing chaos, that the bloodline will be punished somehow by Adam Pearce and forced to defend belts, or Sammy might have to defend the WWE title for Roman in the chamber. Like, there's a lot of weird rumors going around that they're going to try and take the WWE title off Roman. But then there's also talk that, Roman's just going to keep both belts till Mania.
He should.
He should. He really should at this point. We're so close to the finish line. Why take it away from him now? What's the point?
And we don't need more championships. Like, to have, like, Raw champions again, like, it's too many championships already. And then you're going to add more championships? Like, it shouldn't happen. They should just have it as a unified champion by now. Not this separate stuff. That should never happen again. This is better this way. Like, just champions. Tag champions. WWE champion. That's it. Not this world champion, universal champion stuff. It's too much.
Yep.
It devalues the championships.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. One champion. It's the better way to do it. But we have said Raw feels like a really unimportant show because there's no championships. There's nothing. Like the tag team champions, the Usos, sometimes come on Raw, but mostly they're on SmackDown. Roman Reigns, he's like always on SmackDown, never on Raw. So makes Raw the B show, a 3-hour show with no real champions to speak of other than Austin Theory. You know? Like,
well, it puts
it
Austin
doesn't
Theory
make
up a
it
lot.
look great. Huh? Sorry.
It puts Austin Theory up a lot, makes him seem like he's really important because he's the only singles champion on the show.
He seem important to you?
They seem to, in my opinion, they're really pushing him in a bigger light now. Like they're putting him against Seth Rollins and beating Seth Rollins too. Like he's winning this feud so far.
I mean, he kind of cheated to win, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he's a heel. He's got to cheat.
Yeah,
but
he didn't really beat Seth Rollins last week. He kind of did.
But it's not over yet, right? It's going to happen again, and he keeps pushing that the champ is here, so he's pushing that match with Cena.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going good for Theory, in my opinion.
I think he's going to wrestle Cena at Mania. I really do. That's what
It makes sense. It might not be for the title.
Whatever. But just the fact that Austin Theory comes out middle of the ring with the U.S. title, puts a belt up, and goes, "The champ is here!" You know, like Cena used to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed like he was sending a direct message, right? I think they're planting seeds. Cena and Theory at WrestleMania. I could see that. Let's run down some of the stuff that we saw on Raw this week. Kevin Owens wrestling Baron Corbin.
I'm guessing you didn't like this. Like I enjoyed the interaction between JBL and KO. I thought that was good.
I like JBL, but
thought...
Corbin, when Corbin started talking, man, come on. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Well,
Corbin
Kevin reacted the way I'm sure you felt. So, you know, that was to kind of appease you a bit, the way he was reacting to it.
Yeah, Kevin Owens just in the corner, like...
Yeah.
Like, asleep. Because, yeah, it sucked. Kevin Owens was all of us in that corner. Just like, ugh. Is this guy done yet? And then he beat Baron Corbin. But, I mean, God. It's not worth watching.
I didn't think it was particularly bad or anything. It wasn't great, but I don't think it was bad.
Corbin's a tune-out for
it's
me.
Good
I can't.
Well, it's a match I think Kevin kind of needs. Again, you got to keep building him up to face Roman, so he's got to get these wins. So you got to have those matches. It's good that he's on every show, too, as well.
Yeah. No, Kevin's getting pushed hard going into the Rumble. Real hard. But JBL said something I thought very telling and very true. He said, "No one believes you're going to beat Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens. No one believes it." And yeah.
Okay. I'm sure, yeah. That's a big thing.
You know what I mean? No one believes it. But whatever.
It's true, but you know,
match will be all right.
You still gotta push him. Like you shouldn't be losing going in against Roman. I mean, he's definitely not winning then, but
no,
at least make it look like he's a credible like contender at least.
Yeah, but I kind of see through it, right? Like, oh, they're building it up, Kevin, but he's gonna lose to Roman, so whatever. You know, like I'm not that excited about it because I know at the end of the day, like, come on, Tribal Chief has to win, or he's gearing up towards WrestleMania. He's not going to lose the belt now.
Right.
Alexa Bliss has been working on her acting. I suggest she keeps working. Or maybe quits. Because, holy shit, I'm the face of evil. What the fuck was that? What was that promo on the announce table? That was garbage. And then weird graphics show up, and Uncle Howdy comes out, and you think, oh, and then they go to commercial, and when you come back from commercial, everybody's gone.
Oof. Yep. Everyone's gone.
Oof.
To me, what throws it off...
The delivery on that was so bad, man. She's so bad. She's awful. I want to like Alexa Bliss. There's a lot about Alexa Bliss that I do like. But that promo, this gimmick, whew, stinky.
Well, to me, what throws it off is that I think she's trying to be a heel, but the fans are completely behind her, whatever she says. So that it's an odd feeling where she's trying to be like evil, but people are actually liking whatever she does, how she beat up Bianca and left her bloody, and people are cheering that. So they kind of have to fix whatever they're doing here. Like, it's not working, making her heel. She's too beloved by the fans. People like that she's possessed or influenced by whatever Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy is going on here. So, like, if anything, they got to make her less spooky. I think that would get people actually to boo her because they want that, actually.
Yeah, I would drop the whole Uncle Howdy stuff with Alexa Bliss, but they don't seem like they're going to.
Well, this is one of the biggest things they do. Like, it's over. Like, it's not over with us, but with a lot of people love this. So they're going to keep pushing this like crazy.
Who loves this? People love this?
Well, you can tell by the reactions. Like, like, this isn't supposed to be liked, but it's liked. It's like the Bloodline. They're not supposed to be cheered, but, the show goes off the air and people are saying "we the ones" all the time. So, like, the people that they try to make heels are actually the most over people, and people like them the most because they're behind everything they do.
I get liking the Bloodline. They're cool. Alexa's promo, the whole thing.
Yeah, but she's so liked, she can do no wrong in a sense. She can just say anything as long as it's in that vein of like the Bray Wyatt stuff. It's gonna be cheered. Even Bray Wyatt tonight. Did any of it make sense? Not really, but it's still a Bray Wyatt promo. People will just like it anyways because it's Bray Wyatt.
What the hell was that tonight? Bray Wyatt cut a promo in the ring. Sometimes we forget.
Old school.
Hey, man. Sometimes we forget who we are, man. And how we got here in the first place.
Have the chair again.
Sitting in the chair. Bray said he is Uncle Howdy. But didn't he get attacked by Uncle Howdy? Now I'm seeing it's his brother, Bo Dallas, who's Uncle Howdy. That's the guy that's been playing Uncle Howdy?
Makes sense. Not the first one, though. But
no.
The later one, yeah.
I don't know. WWE TV this week was bad overall. I didn't like any of it. I liked Rhea Ripley beating up Candice LeRae on Raw. That was a good match. Rhea just dominating Candice LeRae. Rhea is a beast. I love Rhea Ripley. She's intimidating. She's the only person in the Judgment Day that I believe in as far as promos and intimidation. She's very good. She's winning the Royal Rumble. She's got to. I mean, look how strong she is right now. Look how much they're pushing her. They're gearing up for something with Rhea. They've got to. This Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair stuff, I think is just a bump in the road because Rhea's going to win and go against Bianca at Mania.
It's not going to be Charlotte?
Rhea and Charlotte?
Well, I was thinking Charlotte and Bianca, actually.
I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that now because everything got messed up now because of that. You're right. So it's tough. Again, we have to wait to see what happens with Ronda. Is Ronda ever going to get a rematch or not? Like, because then that could maybe steer things right again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait and see.
But Rhea is she's a force. She's great.
I liked the match, except the finish was just so abrupt. Like, it was just like, oh, well, it's over. It was like the KO and Corbin match, like, which was fine. That's what it needed to be, like, because he kind of said it, like, it's just going to be a match stunner out of nowhere. That's it. But this is the same thing, too. It's like, She just flipped the outside, threw her on the outside, threw her back in the ring, finished her, and that was it. It was like, that's it. Like, just there was nothing to that finish whatsoever. There's no build up or anything. It's just throw her on the outside, throw her back in the ring. That's it.
That's all she needed
Not a
to
lot
do.
of thought put into that finish. Well,
No,
I
it wasn't.
guess, like,
yeah, no, I know what you mean. No, it wasn't perfect, but I just liked how strong Rhea looked in it. You know, like she's just crushing it. Bobby Lashley came out, speared Austin Theory. Like the whole Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley thing with the U.S. title has been going on for how long now? And now Lashley's
Survivor
back,
Series?
and it's the same thing since November, right?
I like the twist though. Lashley had the promo backstage with MVP.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
MVP's like, let's put the Hurt business together again. And Bobby's like, no. But MVP somehow convinced Adam Pearce that the WWE needed Bobby Lashley, so MVP is the reason why Bobby got his job back. But he doesn't want to rejoin. He's like cool with MVP, but he doesn't want to do the Hurt business again. But clearly, at some point, they're going to, right? Like
when he needs the numbers game in his favor, yeah, or the numbers game is completely out of his favor. He needs help. It's going to happen at some point. But it's a build.
The main event of Raw lasted about an hour. It was several matches. It was a tag team turmoil. So Finn Balor and Damian Priest beat Gallows and Anderson in the opener. And then Finn and Damian beat Cedric and Shelton. And then Finn and Damian beat the Alpha Academy. But Otis did a Vader bomb accidentally on Gable and Finn sold a rib injury. So they said, Finn, you got to leave. The doctors say you can't continue. You got to forfeit the match, or Dominic has to take your place. So Dominic takes Finn's place in the final match against the Street Profits. And Dominic actually gets the win with the cover with help from Rhea Ripley pushing him to kind of hold him steady. A little cheating to win there. So Dominic and Damian Priest win the Tag Team Turmoil match, and they get a shot at the Usos' Raw Tag Team titles at some point. Don't know when, right?
Right.
Now, is it Dominic and Damian to get the shot, or is it Finn and Damian?
Well, I think it's just Judgment Day as a faction. So, I mean, it could be any members of the group possibly, I'm guessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it could be Finn and Dominic possibly. However it works out.
A good team.
But
yes?
Before we get to that, though, you skipped over Miz TV where they
Prison
talked about
Dom.
Dominic and yes. This
was
a pretty bad segment.
I didn't hate it.
I hated it a lot.
I don't know.
I was mad.
I thought Dominic actually pulled it off.
Like, to me, it just exposed the business. Like, it just, again, like, they build up the story, a hard time, and then the Miz says, like, well, you're just there for a couple hours. And they're like, oh, don't talk about that. It's like, and then the commentators start joking about it. So it's like, this is all a joke. This is all, like, ridiculous. But we're still going to push this, like, oh, you did hard time. But it's just a joke where we're just laughing about the rest of the way through. And the fact that Rey Mysterio,
but Dominic is a heel. Dominic is a goofy heel that we make fun of, and he's acting like he's a hardened criminal, even though he was only in jail for like a couple hours. That's the joke. The joke is on Dominic, and Dominic is like, it was hard times and everything. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Dominic is a guy who's, grown up, privileged enough. His dad is a millionaire, right?
Right.
So, he goes to jail for a couple hours and he comes out acting all tough. I think it was just a joke. I don't know. I thought he played it off pretty well. Miz even played it off pretty well. I didn't hate it.
Like the prison tattoo he has even, like, it's just too goofy. I'm not a fan of that.
Okay.
And like, I don't know what you thought. Like, the match was an hour long. Like, I thought Damian Priest was fantastic for wrestling like 50 minutes. That was incredible. Dominic wrestling like for 5 minutes, it looked like he was blown up completely. Like, just trying to get through every little move. Like, I don't get that. Like, I guess being out there at ringside is just, you're hot just standing there. But he looked like it was a struggle just to get through every little move. Like, his selling was like, wasn't really even existent. It was just like he's tired. That's all it was.
Well, I mean, Dominic isn't a great wrestler, but I think his promos are much better than his wrestling.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
He's a better actor than Alexa Bliss. He's better than Alexa Bliss. His promo, I bought what he was selling way more than I bought Alexa Bliss.
But it's a joke, like, and you bought that he's joking about it, like, it still doesn't work, like.
No, he was serious, but it's a joke. He's a joke, but he was serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you took in that whole. To me, he's not even serious. Like, he's just barely any emotion whatsoever in everything that he says. Like, it's hard. Like, he's just saying lines pretty much. Like, he doesn't actually believe in anything he's actually saying, I find.
I'm not going to sit here and try and defend Dominic Mysterio. I don't think he's great either. But yeah, I thought the tag team turmoil match was real long and real pointless. Gunther and Braun.
Does Judgment Day beat everybody? Like, what was up with that? Like, you just destroyed your whole tag division again, and now you're going to have, like, singles Raw tag titles when you just destroyed your whole tag division that you have on Raw? Like, that didn't make any sense.
Gallows and Anderson, too. They've come in with nothing. They've got no momentum.
They feuded with Judgment Day, and they've lost.
Yeah.
Like, so
and they just lose in the opener here on Raw. It wasn't great. The opener of SmackDown tonight was pretty good. Gunther and Braun Strowman. Gunther beat Braun Strowman.
It was a good opener. The finish was a little off, but the match was good.
You didn't like the finish? The powerbomb?
Well, if you notice the finish, the powerbomb, like, Braun's feet touched first. I don't know if you caught that or not.
I mean, Braun's so big. It looked tough to do.
Well, I mean, you got to change that up a bit then. It should have been powerbomb a lot quicker, not bring him out to the center where you have to walk with him a little bit. It should have just been throw him down, pretty much.
Yeah.
That would have been a better bump. It would have sounded better.
I like the match, though. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Like, it wasn't exactly what I had anticipated,
I don't think it was an amazing match, but it was a solid match,
I thought they were going to hit each other a little harder.
I don't think Braun can take that much. Like, you saw what he could take, and it was tough for him. So they worked that match the way it was possible. I felt, if I'm not mistaken, they used the wrong shoulder in the end, too, right before the powerbomb. But whatever. Like, we get the idea what they were trying to go with.
You compare this opening match on SmackDown to the opening match on AEW Dynamite this week, and I want to shift over to AEW here. Hangman Page and Jon Moxley. Huh?
Was there nothing else on SmackDown? I thought there was more on SmackDown, no?
I mean, what do you want to talk about? Rey Mysterio and Karrion Kross's promo? I mean, that was...
I already got mad at Rey. I'm very upset with Rey.
It was not great. Why are you upset with Rey? Because Dominic's his son?
Well, because he's selling it like, oh, he's a hardened criminal now. And it's like, no, he's not. Like, they said it's a joke, pretty much. Like, and you're selling it like, oh, he's a hardened person now. Like, come on, Rey. You're better than that.
Yeah, Karrion Kross attacked him, and they're going to have a match in 2 weeks on SmackDown, right? They announced that.
Oh, did they? I missed that.
Yeah, Rey versus Karrion Kross set for SmackDown in 2 weeks. Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens will do a contract signing next week. And also next week, the Banger Brothers, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, will take on the Viking Raiders in the first round of the SmackDown Tag Team Title #1 Contender Tournament. I don't know who else is in the first round. I don't know who else is in this tournament. I don't know how many rounds there will be in this tournament. But we know that there will be a match for the first round. Like, how ridiculous is that? It's a tournament. The winner gets a tag team title shot.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. Who's in the tournament? Don't know. How many teams are in the tournament? Don't know. When do you get a tag team title shot? Don't know. Cool. Well thought out. Well thought out creative by the WWE. Nice to know where we're headed. And Raw is Triple X 1 week away, 1 week from Monday in Philadelphia, a special 30th anniversary of Raw. This is not an X-rated version of Raw. This is not porno Raw like we've all been waiting for. Disappointing.
You have Banger Bros, but it's
I know.
still not.
When I saw the graphic, Raw is Triple X, I was like, finally, we're going to do the porno edition of Raw, where all the people have sex with each other on TV. There's live sex celebrations all night. This is what we've all been waiting for. Some real
Just coming back.
action, HLA, all that stuff.
They should have at HLA when you think about it. 30 years? Why not? Yeah.
I can't believe that was a thing. If you don't know what HLA stands for, you missed out on some quality years of Eric Bischoff being the Raw GM. Eric Bischoff coming out. Next week, we're going to have hot lesbian action. And it was so common that they had to shorten hot lesbian action to just HLA. Because they said it so often. They're just like, there's more HLA next week. But we all know what that means. How crazy is that? Well, pro wrestling has really changed, right? We used to live in a world where hot lesbian action was booked as a segment on Raw. So often booked. Not just once, but booked often. I don't even know what HLA actually entailed. Like, what did they even do? I don't remember. But I remember being, 14 and being like, yeah, this is going to be great.
There was some kissing, I remember correctly.
I don't remember much. But I just remember they're like, HLA. They had to abbreviate it because it was so common. What a ridiculous show.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, we had 5-minute promos about pie. Like we lived in a totally different time.
Do you like pie or do you like strudel? And if you like strudel, that means you were a homosexual and The Rock would berate you for that, right? If you liked pie, that means you like ladies.
Bad look.
Yeah, he'd berate you. He'd be like, I think you like strudel. Don't look at the people's strudel. He called his dick the people's strudel.
Pretty hilarious when you think about it.
Rock cut some pretty homophobic promos back in the day. A lot of homophobic shit from The Rock. But that is the 90s. It was a different time. But hot lesbian action, strudel. What a world. We're just talking about how it used to be like better back in the day. And now I'm thinking, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Rock was pretty fun, though. I like The Rock. Like, that's the thing, man. People are good now on TV, and, you got some good promo guys like MJF or whatever, but they don't compare to The Rock. There's not a single guy that compares to The Rock. I mean, come on.
The Rock had his moments, and then The Rock had his, down moments. I didn't mind Pie. I thought it had its time in wrestling.
Yeah.
But then we also had Cookie Puss, which I didn't think was very...
Okay, but you can't compare... No, those are two different guys. Two different guys, John. There's Rock with hair. That's The Rock. That's the Brahma Bull. That's the People's Champ. That's the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. And then there's bald guy on steroids, Hollywood Rock. That's the Dwayne. That's a different guy. We don't like that guy so much. He's not as good. He gets blown up in 2 minutes. He tears every muscle in his body as soon as he moves because he's too muscle-bound. That guy is no good. We don't like the Dwayne. Cookie Puss was the Dwayne. The Rock had the good lines. Rudy Poo, candy ass. Know your role and shut your mouth. The millions. And millions of The Rock's fans. Like, come on. The guy had it down. 1999, The Rock, Rocky Maivia. That guy was the shit. The Dwayne, Hollywood Rock, Steroid Rock. Forget about him. You can't compare Cookie Puss to Poontang Pie, John. You know the difference. Don't try to fuck with me. You know what you're doing, John. You know what you're doing. You're like, well, there were Cookie Puss. Cookie Puss was with John Cena or CM Punk or whatever. That's
CM Punk.
way past Prime Rock. As soon as Rock lost to Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, it was over. Like, that was the end of the good Rock. Like, classic Rock ended when he lost to Brock Lesnar. He's never been the same. He's cool. I like him and all. He's fine, but he was electrifying back then. Like, never missed. On fire. People don't, and again, people do not, and you can't mistake people because you were there, John. You know the difference. Some people were not there. They don't know the difference between The Rock and the Dwayne. But you've seen The Rock in his prime. That was a different guy. Different guy.
I was just going to mention, we're going back to the whole new generation of fans. The newer generation have grown up on that Rock.
Yeah,
so that's
on the
it.
Dwayne.
You know, you're seeing, right. So you're seeing the difference.
He sucks. Compared to The Rock, the Dwayne is garbage.
Compared, fine, but like, he's not terrible.
I don't know. You see those Cena matches?
The promos leading up to it were pretty good, though.
Yeah, but he used to be able to work, too.
Yeah, he had one good match. The Survivor Series match was pretty good.
With Foley.
No, it was with Cena when he teamed with Cena, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I remember his only comeback match that I liked was when he teamed with Foley against, I guess it was Randy?
Evolution, WrestleMania.
All of Evolution, right?
WrestleMania 20.
And even then, that was a long time ago. It was a long time ago.
2004, yeah.
I mean, Chris Benoit main evented that, so that tells you how long ago that was. Okay. Dynamite this week. Hangman beats Jon Moxley. Fantastic match. I was sick as a dog, just near death on Wednesday night. But I was in bed, and I was like, must watch Dynamite. I didn't try to watch Raw Monday night because I was like, whatever, I'll catch up. I don't care. But Dynamite, I knew it was in L.A. I knew that they had a lot planned, and I had to watch. And I was glad I did. I somehow managed to watch Dynamite despite having a fever and everything. And maybe it was the fever, but I thought Hangman and Jon Moxley killed it. They beat the shit out of each other. Those strikes were some of the most violent that you'll see in a long time. Like, they hit each other for real. They were not pulling punches. It was great. They did exactly what they had to do. And you could tell Hangman was like hitting Moxley with some receipts. It was good. I really liked that match. Like, we saw some great matches. Bryan Danielson against Konosuke Takeshita. Excellent match. Jungle Boy and Hook against Big Bill and Lee Moriarty was fine. The main event, the Escalera de la Muerte with the Elite and the guys there. You know, that was very good.
Death Triangle?
Death Triangle, yeah, thank you. Like, that was great. But my favorite match of the night was the opener, Hangman and Moxley. I loved it. I love the brutality. Bryan and Takeshita was really good too, but there was less of who's going to win with that one, you know? You knew Bryan was going to win in the end. But with Moxley and Hangman, you're like, oh, how's this going to go? It was a little less, you know. And Moxley, I think it was only the second time that he's been pinned in the past 3 years in AEW. The only other guy that's pinned him is CM Punk at that pay-per-view when he won the belt at All Out.
Well, I think clean, right? Because, like, didn't he lose to Kenny as well? But that wasn't clean when he lost to Kenny, I think.
Okay. I don't recall. That was early on in AEW.
Well, yeah, that was early on, but like that's his second ever clean loss, I think.
Okay. But he does not lose very often, right?
No. But I still thought Hangman was going to win because, like, Hangman lost the first one. They were going to even it up and then have the rubber match at the pay-per-view. So we're going that direction.
You can see that. My God, though, can their bodies take another match like that? This was violent.
Yeah, it was. I mean, maybe they'll add a stipulation to it. Possibly. Last man standing kind of thing. See something like that go down.
I loved it. Loved it. Great to see Hangman back. It's been almost 90 days since he's wrestled a match. Great stuff.
I mean, it's a while, but I mean, it's good to be safe, though, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You never know with that kind of injury, like, how you are after that, you know? Like, you're not the same. So the fact that he can come back and compete at that high level is very impressive. The only problem I had with that match was it's a thing throughout most matches. Even Bryan Danielson did it as well. It's this whole, like, you know, hit me, then I want you to hit me back. I'll hit you. And then like, the whole letting. Like, if it's a fight, like, it shouldn't always be like that. And I get some, like, wrestlers, it's their gimmick in a sense. Like, they're kind of like masochists where they like getting hit. That's kind of fine, but apparently every wrestler is a masochist and they all want each other to hit each other. And it's the whole Japanese wrestling mind frame of that's what they do.
Yes.
And fine, I understand that, but it takes away a lot of that whole it's a fight feel when they do that. And like every match almost is like that. So I just wish in that match it didn't have that. Like it would have helped a bit because that's the match where it felt like this is a fight, you know?
In a real fight, you would never want to do that.
Right.
You would never be like, you hit me, then I hit you. That's not how fights go. You're 100% right. That's a New Japan influence. And, you know, it's supposed to show the toughness, but it does kind of take you out of the realism of the match. In a real fight, if you're going to say... In a real fight, like I've seen guys, you know, like come try and hit me, you know, and then they go and like, you know, dodge the punches, you know. But I've seen guys also be like, hit me and like take punches to the face on purpose. Like that's happened in the UFC. I've seen guys just be like, stick their face out and take pop, 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 and then fire back, rah, 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 rah. You know, I've seen that. It has happened, but those guys are fucking crazy. Those guys are nuts, and it's ill-advised, right? Their corner is like, don't stick your face out to get hit. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, in the adrenaline, you know, a guy hits you, and you're like, I didn't feel shit. Give me another one. And that's happened. I've seen it happen in the UFC, but it's a little crazy. It's like not something you want to do, and your coach would not want you to do that, right? The whole point of the game in fighting, if you don't know, is do damage, take no damage. You want to take as little damage as possible. Because then you can live to fight another day. You know, that's kind of... You want to fight for as long as possible so you can maximize your career and maximize your money and your earning potential, right? That's all, you know. Some people don't know that, but it's okay. But yeah, you know, other than that, and even that, like, it's all right. I just didn't understand how... Because they were both down, and the referee started counting, right, to 10?
Right.
But they got to their knees, and they started hitting each other, but they never got to their feet. But the ref stopped counting.
Yeah, but they made contact with each other. It means they're back in the fight.
I thought you had to get to your feet.
I mean, you're supposed to get back to your feet, but if you make contact, that means the fight's still on. So.
All right. Fine. But that was my match of the night. Hangman and Moxley. Was it your match of the night? Because we saw some... Man, Dynamite was very good this week. It was very good. That Escalera de la Muerte with the Elite winning the tag team... the trios titles, right? Beating the Death Triangle. Right. That match was bananas.
there was a lot of good spots in that match, and the sequencing of those spots was really well done. So that stuff, I don't know. I think it might have to be that one, just because the timing of everything was very good with that. And I felt the other matches kind of dragged. That one didn't drag. I thought it was almost like a perfect link for the match. Felt maybe that was maybe the main event, and like it just, if anything, maybe like the ending could have been a bit more. But I'm like, well, they've pretty much done everything at this point. They don't really need to kill themselves any more than they already have. So I'm happy with this.
The fact that those guys walked away without any serious injury is amazing to me.
Well, I imagine they're not exactly not sore at this point.
No, I'm sure they're hurt, but like they do some crazy stuff. Like they push the limits and they survive. They survive to wrestle another day. I mean, Kenny had that match in Japan with Ospreay, last week? And then and it was nuts. Wednesday. That was intense, man. That was a serious wrestling match.
Well, his eyes still messed up a little bit in that match too, so yeah.
Like, he goes to Japan, he has that crazy match. A week later, he's in L.A. doing that Escalera de la Muerte. I mean, Kenny's had a pretty rough couple of weeks. Hats off to Kenny Omega. I mean, he has killed it in the past couple of weeks. Looking like the best bout machine once again. I remember a time when everybody was saying he's the best wrestler in the world. Now people are kind of quieting down, but I don't know. He's up there. He's in my top 3. He's unbelievable. Unbelievable. If you're not a Kenny Omega fan, I really don't know what to tell you. You're probably a Jim Cornette lover. And you're too easily influenced by old, confused men.
He used the song that I use for my entrance theme. He used that in New Japan, I believe.
Kenny did?
Yeah, the One Winged Angel, yeah.
He used your song?
Well, you know, I like to say it's my song, but I've been using that for a while, and yeah, he used that song. But it's because, like, you know, we're both Final Fantasy fans, I guess, and I think we both like the same kind of music that it's from, so.
I didn't realize One Winged Angel was a Final Fantasy reference.
Yeah, it is, actually. It's a theme, actually, yeah.
I never played Final Fantasy.
Ah, well, there you go.
I'm not like a gamer like you and Kenny. You know what I mean? Like, I like to play video games, but I don't think anyone would consider me a gamer, you know? Because I don't like RPGs and complicated games. I like dumb shit. Easy games to play. I like Splatoon.
I could like
Splatoon 3, that's what I'm playing right now. Splatoon 3. Super fun.
It sounds alright, but yeah. I guess I'm more like Kenny, I guess.
Yeah.
But hopefully
you're
that's
serious
help
gamer.
For the I wouldn't say serious. I'm more casual, but like at least I maybe the same likes as Kenny, so maybe that will help towards the AEW game that he's making that I will also like, hopefully, if we have the same likes.
I'm seeing the boxes in GameStop.
Okay.
Like, usually when the box is on the wall in GameStop, that means it's coming soon. Like, it's in the coming soon section.
Okay.
So that usually means it's coming soon, right?
You would think.
When's it coming?
Yeah, I don't know what it's like. I didn't see a date anywhere. I just saw, new box art. That's nice. I don't see where it's coming.
There's no release date yet, but it's supposed to come out.
I didn't think so.
Oh, people were saying February 2023, so possibly it comes out next month. That was the initial release date, so it's possible that next month is when it releases. I've got it pre-ordered for my Switch. That's what I'll be playing when it comes out, that's for sure. I'm excited for that. I hope it's good.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Wait and see.
I love a good wrestling video game. I really hope AEW does it right. And if they do it right, man, I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. You know? I'm excited because, like, if it's good, if it's done correctly, it's going to be sick. We're going to have so much fun. You know? I haven't had a good wrestling game that I've really enjoyed since, like, WWE 13. So, it's been a long time for me. I want a good, fun wrestling game to play. Hopefully one that's like fun for me and easy enough for my son to pick up and we could just play together. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Well, if they're making this like No Mercy, I mean, No Mercy was pretty easy to play, so.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Those games were great. The Nintendo 64 games. Again, if you didn't play the Nintendo 64 wrestling games, you don't know shit about wrestling games. All right?
Well, to be fair, I think a lot of people played the PS1 wrestling games, and those were still pretty good too.
Not as good.
Not as good, but still not bad.
But I think most of us would agree that we're around, that have been around, you know? Because we're old guys
alive.
now, John.
Yes.
But, like, I think we'd mostly agree that the best era of wrestling video games was that Nintendo 64 era.
Yeah, I guess, because it was the first time we had multiplayer, really, so 4 players.
And 3D.
And 3D, yeah. And just so many wrestlers to choose.
Yeah. And the gameplay was so good.
Yeah.
Like, it was perfect, you know? It's perfect. That WWE 13 game that I have for my Xbox 360, I still play once in a while, and it's fantastic. I think CM Punk's on the cover of that one. It's great. Once in a while, my brother comes over, we pop it in the old Xbox 360, play that shit. I want to stream myself on the channel here. We're going to do some video game streaming. I know I've been promising it for a while, but I'm actually going to do it. And I think I want to stream myself playing WWE 13. I think that'd be fun. People would get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Maybe we'll launch the video game streaming channel, like the video game streaming part of the Ringside Report Network when AEW Fight Forever releases. Like as part of the, you know?
That'd be cool.
Ooh. Now I'm thinking, John. Will we actually do it? Maybe. Hopefully.
Well, first you got to recover. Recover. Yeah. Don't die suddenly.
Hey. Come on. Don't say that. I got kids, John. Don't even joke about that. God.
Sorry.
Yeah. What the hell? I figure you'd be sad too. Anyways. Brian and Takeshita, great match. Great match there.
Yeah, but it's like you said too, where it's like you knew who was going to win beforehand.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, like to me that promo with MJF, that kind of stole the show. So it's like I felt the match wasn't really that important because we saw the best part already. And MJF just like killed it. I don't know what you thought, but that was just fantastic.
Like,
not a fan, eh?
I mean, it was okay. It was an okay promo, but he didn't say anything in that promo that made me go, oh, shit. He made fun of Ken Jeong and Freddie Prinze Jr., who were sitting ringside. He talks about banging rats. I mean, yeah, okay, that's what he does. This is part of his gimmick. I don't know. What was great about that promo? Like, because I've seen MJF, like, really go off, you know? This was just kind of typical. I didn't think it was one of his best.
Well, for me, it was the length. Was the fact that he kept it compelling, like, from start to finish. Like, this, to me, like, I don't know what you thought. This was like 10, 15 minutes of him just going straight.
Was it that long?
It just felt like he just... to me, it felt like it was very long. Because, like, first he came out... Well, it's not bad if it's good.
Well, if it was 5 minutes and it feels like 15, that's not a ringing endorsement for the promo.
I don't know, but like it was a good, like it felt like it was long, but like I'm entertained the whole way, like. But it felt like a long promo. Was it 5 minutes? Really? Because like
I don't think it was.
He switched topics.
Yeah, I don't think it was that long. I don't know.
Now, you might want to check back on the time, but
yeah.
Because I felt like he was there for a while, and I was highly entertained by what he said. I know maybe you don't really care about Freddie Prinze Jr. Like he used to be a writer in WWE, and maybe you don't watch his movies, I guess, or even Ken Jeong, like his stuff. I've seen his stuff, so it's just nice cameos like that he was able to capitalize. To me, it just helps with MJF making him into a bigger star. I guess you're checking out the actual length of the promo.
No.
How long it was exactly? No?
I'm actually checking to see if he's still married to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And he is.
Oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah.
Yeah. Freddie Prinze Jr. is still married to her. MJF should have said some shit about her.
Why?
Because he made fun of Freddie Prinze Jr. He's like, oh, you were in Scooby-Doo. You're a Scooby douchebag. Scooby-Dooby douchebag. You know, I was like, eh. I thought it was a lame line. I thought it was whack. It was like, hey, why don't you call, Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Maybe she could slay my dick. Some shit like that. Like, go hard on Freddie Prinze Jr. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you call your wife? She could come slay this. I don't know. You got to go hard. You're MJF. You're supposed to be this guy who says despicable things. You're despicable. He didn't say anything that was particularly offensive or shocking. Like, when I watch an MJF promo, I'm looking for him to say some shit where I go, damn, man. That was a bit much, but I liked it. MJF is the guy that's supposed to make you go, oh. But he didn't do that in this promo. He didn't do that at all.
Really? Because, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, MJF is racist. They should cancel him. And it's like,
what did you say?
Didn't feel
racist?
That. Yeah.
Where to?
Because he said hello in Japanese, I think. I think a lot of people thought he was racist for saying that. I'm like, what? It's not really being racist, but
if you say konnichiwa to a Japanese person, that's racist? You can't greet them in their native language? I thought that was, kind of nice to do.
Well, because he said it in a very condescending way, right? The way MJF said that, I guess. So that, I agree. Again, too, he's playing a character as well, too. It's not him actually doing that, people take it so personally. It's crazy, but yeah, this still ended up being controversial. Crazy enough as it was. I know you didn't.
Sensitive ass marks.
People are very sensitive, yes.
It's fucking pathetic. Yeah. Racist to say konnichiwa? Who are these assholes on the internet that are offended by everything? My God. And I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, cancel culture has gone too far and da-da-da. I'm sensitive to racism, but that wasn't racism. If you say konnichiwa to a Japanese guy, it's not racism. If you said some other shit, there are things you could say, but and he said some shit about, he's like, what's your name again? Take a shitta? And that's what I said that on the show about take a shitta, right? Because when you say when you see it spelled, you're like, take a shitta, take a shitta. It kind of looks like take a shitta, but I try to pronounce it correctly, Takeshita,
right.
And he's a tremendous wrestler, tremendous.
He's very good.
Oh my God, he's fantastic, and he had a hell of a weekend too. He was in the Battle of Los Angeles final for PWG on the weekend, where he lost. He lost in the finals to great Montreal wrestler Mike the Speedball Bailey. So congratulations to Mike Bailey for winning BOLA. Battle of Los Angeles for PWG. That's a big deal. That's quite an accomplishment.
Well, it's the first one they've had in years, too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Wow. Mike Bailey is killing the indie scene right now, right? He's one of the hottest talents in indie wrestling.
Yeah. Without question, I think.
Fantastic. Another Montreal guy. Killing the scene. Good for him. I like Mike Bailey. I've always liked Mike Bailey. I remember the first time I saw Mike Bailey wrestle was against Jeremy Prophet at a show I was ring announcing, right? I think Mike was still wearing like a Taekwondo gi to wrestle, right? He wore a Taekwondo gi and no shoes. Wasn't that his gimmick?
Right.
He was doing
Yeah,
Taekwondo.
that was at the time.
I think he's a Taekwondo
time.
black belt. He's got some kicks, that guy. He knows what he's doing. He's got educated feet. You know?
Yep.
And I remember going up to him after the match, be like, yo, man, where you learn to kick like that? I'm like, you a real martial arts guy? Because, you know, sometimes guys put on a gi, but it's a gimmick. But it was no gimmick. He's like, oh, I'm a Taekwondo guy. I was like, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I remember thinking, man, this guy's good. I'd never seen him before. I never heard of him. Because he was early on in his wrestling career, right? At that point?
Probably 5 years in.
Really, eh?
Thinking.
Man, he's been wrestling for a while. He's such a young guy. He's been wrestling since he was real young.
Started 14, probably.
Did he really? Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
14, 15.
He's really good. He's really good. And he's having so much success right now. It's cool, too, because I know he was banned from the States for a while, right? Like, he had a visa problems. He couldn't get over into the border, right?
Yep.
And now he's having so much success over there. Yeah, 5 years banned? Wow. A lot of Canadian wrestlers have trouble with, you know, going over to the States, like you yourself included. But yeah, when I saw that he won the PWG Battle of Los Angeles, I was like, man, another. Like, he's just tick, 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 you know? The list of shit that he's done now in the past couple of years, incredible. Incredible. And I feel like at a certain point, it's going to reach, like, he's going to be in a major league wrestling promotion, and he's going to be a major star. You know, like, he's already, like, a star in indie wrestling. If you're really, like, paying attention to pro wrestling, you're very well aware of who Mike Bailey is. But, you know, if you're, like, a casual WWE fan or an AEW fan, you have no idea. But I think he's going to land in one of those big promotions at some point soon. Get a big contract, you know, and become a star, like a big wrestling star. So it's pretty cool. I wonder who will scoop him up, WWE or AEW. But I think he's going to land with one of those companies in the next couple of years for sure, because they'd be crazy not to sign him. I kind of thought he'd wind up in AEW already by this point. I know he's done a lot of work in Impact. Like, I think he's maybe under contract in Impact, and that's why he's there, but I don't know.
Well, that's it. He's under contract there. They gave him the visa.
Yes. Well, that's good. But just signing to Impact was great, you know? I mean, but I think that's a first step for him. I mean, no disrespect to Impact. I think it's a good wrestling promotion. They're doing well and everything, but I think it's just like the first step into his entry into the United States and to the major league wrestling scene, you know? So congratulations to Mike Bailey for winning that Battle of Los Angeles. I thought that was real cool. Real cool.
I think Jericho talked about it too. Like, being on PWG, he talked about, well, in the promo, he talked about on Dynamite that they were there.
Yes.
Because I think they had a match, right?
Yes, the Jericho Appreciation Society all showed up as a surprise at that PWG show, and they worked a match. I thought you said Jericho was talking about Mike Bailey. He was just talking about PWG.
Well, you're just talking about the show, that same show.
Yeah, he must have seen it. He must have seen it. And if Jericho's there and he sees you, like, you know, Jericho's like, hey, you're Canadian too, you know? You never know what might happen for Mike Bailey. So I'm hoping for the best because I'm a fan. I like him a lot. He's real good. I don't know him too well, but, you know, I've met him a couple of times. Nice guy. You probably know him better than I do, right? Have you ever wrestled him?
I've wrestled him maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, always great in the ring. Like, he gets better every year, and you know, again, having the year of his life right now.
Mm-hmm. Great bumper, amazing move, amazing offense. You know, really good, really good. So if you don't know Mike Bailey, you know, if you're not aware of Mike Bailey, I'm sure there's people right now watching be like, who is this guy? He's very good. Go check him out, Mike Bailey, Bailey, Bailey. Check him out. He's a very talented professional wrestler, and he's going to be a major star. You know, you got the Kevin Owens and the Sami Zayns right now. Mike Bailey's next up, I think, as far as big Montreal talent, making it international. So, good for him. Good for him. Takeshita wrestled Mike Bailey, and then he wrestled Bryan Danielson. I mean, what a week for Takeshita. Danielson gets the win on Dynamite. Then we had Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker getting the win over Saraya and Toni Storm. Hikaru Shida helped by tossing her kendo stick into the ring. Shida, I guess, mad because Saraya chose Toni instead of her for the match. But really, it's not about the match. It's about the fact that Sasha Banks didn't show up. Because last week, Britt Baker said, oh, I'm the boss, and da-da-da. And a lot of people were expecting Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, to show up a week after she appeared for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But she didn't. And now I'm starting to wonder if she ever will for AEW. I was convinced. I think I said last week on the show, she's going to be there for sure. She's not going to be in the match. She'll show up after, you know? And then when she didn't show up after, I was like, huh? And a lot of people had the same reaction. Like, what? Where's Sasha Banks?
Well, they didn't announce her, so she didn't show up. And, like, it makes sense. Like, they tease the fact that, you know, there's boss references because people are thinking, oh, maybe. But they never said that's going to actually happen. So that's just them trying to kind of get people to tune in because maybe something will happen. But they never promised anything. They told you what the match was going to be ahead of time. So, you know, it's kind of a slimy way of doing things, but
a little bit.
We've seen this before in wrestling. They've done this before when there's teases like that and it's not exactly the way it's supposed to go or the way you want it to go. But I also don't think it means like, oh, she's never going to come now because of this. You know, it's just like this wasn't the plan that they had, but it could happen later on. I could easily see that, but the story they wanted to tell here was, you know, Saraya, Toni Storm, and the Shida conflict.
Yeah. Which, big deal.
Well, is Shida really turning heel? I don't know about that. Because, like, the whole idea was she threw the cane in, but it wasn't destinated for anyone in particular. It was, like, right in the middle of the ring. So, really, it was for anybody.
Okay. I don't know. I thought she was trying to help Baker and Hayter, but maybe not. I don't really care about Shida and who she sides with. It's not like a big deal. Right? It's not a big deal.
Well, I mean...
But Mercedes Moné is a big deal.
Yeah, and, you know, she's doing fine in New Japan, right? Like, she already sold out her own venue, so, like, she doesn't need to help AEW at this point. I think AEW needs her more than she needs them. So it's up to them to get that figured out, but can they get it worked out?
She's booked some sort of movie deal. She's got a new movie. Maybe she'll just be doing movies and a little bit of Japanese wrestling. She's going to wrestle Kairi on February 18th. I think it's a California show for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So not in
the
Japan.
Valley or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Well,
if you wrestle for New Japan, but you do it in the United States, you don't really wrestle for New Japan. If you don't wrestle for New Japan, you know, at Osaka-jo Hall, you ain't wrestling for New Japan.
Yeah, but she already did that, though. I mean, she appeared anyways, right?
She appeared in the dome.
She
barely did anything.
Right, but she got to do that. She had her moment. And that, for her, again, if you heard Dax's podcast, like, that was, like, the biggest thing. That was bigger than anything she did in WWE. For her, anyways, that was the biggest thing she's ever done. So, that was a great moment for her. And the fact that she sold out a venue by herself, practically, that kind of speaks volume that she has a huge fan base in the States that you should take advantage of. New Japan's doing that.
Yeah. I don't know how huge of a fan base she has in Japan.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, we'll see if she shows up at some point for AEW. I would try and make her a priority if I were Tony Khan because she's a big star in pro wrestling and she would move the needle for sure. She's got a lot of fans. She'd get people talking.
But if you notice when they do these big signings or whatever, it's usually after pay-per-view. So I think if she would show up, it'd have to be after Revolution. So after March 5th, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. It's not too far away. We're, midway through January, and February is a short month, John, so I could see it. I could see her debuting at the pay-per-view, too. But we'll see. We'll continue to break things down. The pay-per-view is still, over a month away on March the 5th. WWE's next pay-per-view is the Royal Rumble. It's just 2 weeks away. Oh, baby. January 28th. WWE's Royal Rumble, and that's the next big show we will be doing for you here as far as post-shows for a pay-per-view January 28th, San Antonio, Texas, the Royal Rumble. And I'll be back here on Thursday night. I promise. I won't be sick. I'm recovering. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Ringside Report MMA. We'll be previewing UFC 283. And then next Saturday, we'll be doing the watch-along for UFC 283. So I know I took the night off last night because I was sick. I'm still sick, but I managed to do the show here tonight. And next week, we're going to be back in full force Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday for Ringside Report MMA, the UFC preview. Friday night, Johnny and I will be back, as we are every Friday night here at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right after Smackdown. And then Saturday night, I'll be back for the UFC 283 watch-along with Freddie and AJ. So a big week next week here on the Ringside Report Network. And then the following week, again, 3 nights in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, except the Saturday will not be a UFC. It'll be a Royal Rumble.
That's true. And also, there was a big return this week. We didn't see Mercedes show up in AEW, but the return of Adam Cole happened.
Adam Cole, the baby. Yeah, good to see him back. Yeah. Good promo from Adam Cole. He's dealt with some serious concussion issues, apparently. And, he came back. Good to see him back. Good to see him healthy. You never want to see a guy have to retire or get hurt in a major way, especially concussions. It's bad. And the more time Adam Cole spent away from the ring, the more you thought, is he okay? Is he ever going to come back?
Right.
And you heard in his promo, like, he went through a lot with the concussions. It was difficult. And there was a time when he didn't think he was going to be able to come back, and he's now back and determined to be a bigger force than ever in AEW. So we'll see. We'll see. I haven't been the biggest Adam Cole fan, but I also don't dislike him. You know what I mean? Like, I like him. He's cool. But I think he recognizes that he hasn't been the biggest player in AEW. He hasn't been that important in AEW. He's had his moments. That match with Hangman for the world title was very good. Very good.
Yep.
He's had his moments, but he hasn't been that force. And I was not a big fan of his run in NXT. I didn't love it. I like him better in AEW, quite frankly. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does here with this run, with this new lease on his wrestling life. Yeah. Like, I wish him the best, Like, it's weird with Adam Cole. Like, some wrestlers, like, I really like and I'm a big fan of, and some guys I just don't really like. Adam Cole, it's not that I don't like him, it's that I don't love him. You know what I mean? Like, he's cool.
No, I feel you.
He's just not that one. In my, like, fave 5, as Booker T used to say, He's cool. He's fine. But I could see him getting into my fave 5 with the right trajectory,
Right.
Like, there's something there, obviously. There's talent, there's promo, there's a look, there's wrestling. I think size has always hurt him, though. His size is always kind of, he's a little small, a little muscular, Like, he's got small shoulders. You know what I mean?
It's probably going to be smaller when he comes back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always been my thing with him. It's like the way he wrestles doesn't really add up to the way he looks, you know? Like there's something missing there for me. But in AEW, it works more because he's not wrestling the biggest guys in the world.
Yeah, it's true.
So, John, you're one of the biggest guys I know. When's your next match? When can people see you? You're going to wrestle Drew Onyx soon, no?
Next Sunday, yeah.
Oh, baby.
In Laval. That's going to be a big match. Our 5th match that we've had one-on-one.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's going to be huge. As you know, like our matches are usually quite violent, so I expect it to be quite violent again. You know, he's a little upset that I cost him the British Commonwealth Championship last year, so he's going to be looking for revenge. But my plan is to stop him.
Well, you're looking for revenge, too. I remember your last match. He won.
I don't like to remember that stuff, but okay, sure, you can bring that up. I feel that, you know, I let him, like, back in, unfortunately. Like, I had him down, I tried to embarrass him, and it didn't work out. But
is that guy your manager still?
Shane Pinto is still my manager. Great manager. Wonderful person. You know, he just makes me a better person overall. So, you know, he's going to help me beat Drew Onyx.
Can't believe you say that about that guy. You've never said anything close to that about me. Disgusted.
Well, I'm just going to say it straight up. Like, he puts me above everything, you know? You know, I wish I got more love like that from other people, but, you know, only he actually gives me that kind of love. So, you know, that's a shoot. And just telling you like it is.
What about Bjorn's? Isn't he his manager too?
Yeah.
So how does he put you above him?
Together.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, what are you talking about? He's the British Commonwealth champion. You know, there's love in different ways. You can love people different ways. I mean, you love your children different ways, right?
I guess. I love them more than you, I tell you that much. Fucking John. I tell you what, Drew Onyx. I tell you what, Drew Onyx. Johnny North, he's got a bum manager who always interferes and gets in the business. If you need somebody on your team, Drew Onyx, I know we've had our differences in the past, but I'm ready to bury our past differences and accompany you ringside to your match, Drew Onyx, and back you up and make sure that Shane Pinto doesn't get anywhere near you, and you make sure you beat Johnny North again, Drew Onyx, okay? How you like that, John? I'm on Team Drew Onyx's side, and if Drew needs a good manager, he knows who to call. Not for nothing, Drew, but I got a pretty solid guillotine choke, so just saying. My guillotine's good. My toe hold is good. All my leg locks are pretty good. I'm a leg locker. So just saying, Drew. You know, I'm a 10th planet jiu-jitsu blue belt, which is pretty good for me. So shout me out, Drew. I'll help you out, buddy. Just saying. Johnny doesn't want me in his corner. I've wanted to manage Johnny. He's rejected me. So now, John, I reject you. I'm siding with your opponent.
It's not about rejecting me. Like, you're taking it too personally. You just have to realize, you know, I have someone who puts me above everything, so it kind of helps a lot, you know? Like, he thinks about me, like, first and foremost. You have other priorities, and I understand that completely. I mean, you should worry more about your health right now. That's very important. Like, I don't think you should go to any shows right now.
Well, maybe next weekend I'll be good enough to go.
I hope so.
I haven't done jiu-jitsu in like a week.
That's rough.
I need to get back on the mats. Well, I've been sick all week. I can't go and roll around with dudes all sick, right?
I'm aiming towards like that.
I'm aiming towards a Monday return to the mats. Oh my God, I miss it. It hurts. It hurts not to be there. When you're used to going so often, you know, and then all of a sudden it all stops, you're like, what happened? What happened to my body? Why am I not fighting people? Oh, all right. That's it. This show's been way too long. My whole family told me
It
to
was
do a
supposed to be
short
a
show
long
tonight
show.
because I'm sick
Yeah.
and everything. I did a longer show
You
than
start
normal.
off saying it's going to be a short show. And
I
it's
know.
Like, this is even longer than usual.
It's your fault. I'm blaming you. Show's over.
My fault. you dragged it.
You dragged it.
The illness is like rotting you, I think.
All right. My voice is about done. I will be back Thursday night at 8 p.m. I'll be fully recovered, and we'll be all good. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. And I hope I didn't sound too rough. Did I sound all right, John? I sound all right?
Yeah, you sound okay. I mean, some moments I thought you were dying, but you held it together.
Yeah. It's not been easy. But I survived. Thankfully, I survived. Thank you to everybody tuning in here tonight. We appreciate you. Everybody tuning in after the fact, we appreciate you as well. Even if you don't watch live, you know? If you watch tomorrow or the next day or whenever you're watching, wherever you are, thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network. Especially thanks to our members, Jason Pete, Patrick C. Hamilton, and everybody else. Join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net. Oh, God. Okay. I've been talking for too long. I'm losing my voice. Thank you, everybody. Join.ringsidereport.net. And if you haven't subscribed, just subscribe. You know, you don't have to pay anything.
You'll get through this eventually, guys.
Subscribe
Don't worry.
to the channel.
You'll survive.
Okay? There's the graphic.
Subscribe and, enjoy. Hours and hours of content, because, man, we've done so much content over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, you take over the rest of the show. I can't do it anymore.
Well,
Okay.
I just, hope you enjoyed. Good night, and we'll see you next week.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.